Hi. What I want to show you today is the new model trade. I've been providing different strategy models over the last 6 or 8 years, and we've been trading those successfully. And this is a whole new line of strategies. Uh, one of the things that we're doing is trying to get strategies that trade on a more frequent basis because it allows us to be more responsive to market moves. And so this particular screen that you see right now is the user front end to our automatic trading system. Its architecture is that this is a client that gets distributed to the people doing the trading, and we have a server that is actually running the different models. And what you do is you uh, subscribe to each of the different models that you want to trade, and you build a portfolio of models. And then this client piece will go ahead and manage those models and do the trades for you. Uh, Most of these models are designed to do a trade not during the day as markets change, but at the end of each day, it assesses what positions you should be in and then makes those changes. And then this client piece will go off, you not long before the market closes, and then readjust the positions to carry on forward. I currently have some models running. I got them really kind of unbalanced because I had so much larger positions in TQQ and UPRO that I allocated more capital to these particular strategies here, where I have less capital allocated to these other strategies. But what we're looking at right now is what my current positions are. It doesn't update this live as the market's running. If I want to refresh on it, I can go back into my static holdings, and then I can go back and tell it to import Schwab, and it will do a refresh, and it will grab the current. Uh, well, I'll get that back here in a second. There we go. It'll update the current uh, equity in the account and the total cash available in that account. So I'm trading most of it in the account. This right here shows that it's never been run yet, and that's because this was just added over the weekend. And I do have positions in that because I had. Well, let me explain something too. That each of these are individual strategies, except for the static one. The static one represents the positions that you may currently have in the account. So to run this, you don't have to dedicate an entire account to running the strategies. You can have your own trades in the static portion, and then the strategies running the remainder of the account. So I'll go into the static and I'll just show you what I currently have there. And so these are the current positions I have, and you can see I'm still pretty heavy on TQQ. So that's about $22,000 worth on that. Um, but these are positions that are not counted in any of the strategies. They're counted only in the static uh, uh, holdings, and these could be options. They could be whatever, but these are not traded by the auto trader. I can go ahead and make adjustments to these, or I can do a refresh to pick up the changes. There's ways to adjust the capital that's being allocated to it. Uh, there's a way to keep track of the transfers in and out of this account so that it does have a ledger system of its own. And this is called a book. Each of these are books. So the best idea is a book, J and K Canary, and of course the static holdings is a book. And when I add a new strategy, if that new strategy has some of the same positions that I have in my untraded holdings, I may want to move those holdings um, back into that strategy so that I really don't duplicate those holdings and let the strategy manage those positions. And so you can do all that. And so if I go, let's go into one of the strategies and see what that looks like. And so this particular strategy right now has 2 shares of SPY, 7 shares of TMV, and 29 shares of TQQQ. And I had TQQ before I created this system, so those positions already have lower cost bases, which it'll keep track of, and it will show that here. But then again, when I'm looking at the dashboard and I'm looking at the strategy's gains or losses are only since I built the strategy or added the strategy to this portfolio. So this is tracking it from the date that the strategy was created, and these are positions within the strategy are tracking since the positions were actually bought into your account. I'm not going to go through all the features on this. I do have a um, extensive user manual, and I'll continue adding to that user manual as features change or new features get added. But when I add a new strategy, if I want to move some of those positions in my static book, I want to move it into that strategy, I can go down to here too and say, okay, well, the target quantity is that. I have this many in my static account, so I can go ahead and pull that in, and it pulls that into the strategy here. I can adjust the trading capital, make a withdrawal, make a deposit. Uh, I can close things outside of the strategy if I want. I can set a fixed amount of capital that I'm using for trading, or I can set a fixed amount of cash. Some of my notes from when I was trying to get things working on here. All right, I'm going to go back to the dashboard. I'm going to go into the settings now. We'll take a look at what options are there. This controls your actual trading itself, whether you can do live trading or paper trading. If that's not checked, there's not going to be any live trading going on. There are other requirements that are needed to be able to do live trading, but this is kind of the master switch. Uh, this kind of prevents you from making massive orders, and you can change these. Also, there's an option to do a trade adjustment after hours, and you can limit the amount of slippage on those after hours trades, and it won't do it. If it doesn't meet the requirement of this during normal hours, then what it's going to do, it's going to try to fill um, in the beginning of the next session to get as close as to the closing price as possible. You got to put in information about your Schwab account to get access to it. Uh, and then you got to create a Schwab token. And I need to actually add more documentation on that. We have a server that these trades come from. You're going to get a machine ID, and that machine ID allows you to connect to this server. And without that machine ID, you won't be able to connect it. So you can't move this from one machine to the next without resetting that machine ID. And then you set your time on when you want these trades to go on. And it looks like right now I'm setting, well, these are set at Eastern time. So 5 minutes before the market closes is the first step. And then about 45 minutes after the market closes, it looks to see whether any of the closing positions have changed their closing price that would affect the trade. And it will take another scan at that point and make a trade at that point. This is beta, and we are going to be changing features. So right now we don't have any webhooks set, but if you had your own Discord server or a place to post trades and you wanted to have that posted someplace, you could post that into Discord. And then I set the initial capital value, the names of the strategies, whether it's trading live or paper. I have an API key that I get from the server when it's subscribed to one of these strategies. And then I save that. I can remove them from there. I can pause them by setting it on paper, or I add new strategies if I want. think that's kind of a summary of what we have on the model trade.